Breaker's Reach. Perched on the fringes of explored space, this forgotten station hums with the sound of welding torches, hissing airlocks, and the grinding clamor of machines. The outpost is a chaotic patchwork of salvaged metal and makeshift technology, a place where nothing goes to waste. Here, humans survive by ingenuity, scrapping together technology that the galaxy's most advanced civilizations would never think twice about. Breaker's Reach is a testament to humanity's creativity. Amid the expansive emptiness of space, this station is a beacon of resilience, where engineers and tinkerers from all walks of life scavenge the remains of fallen ships, broken tech, and discarded parts. It's a place where survival isn't a given, it's earned. The humans here have turned scraps of alien tech, the kind the Galactic Concord dismisses as useless, into vital tools and weapons. This isn't the gleaming, perfected civilization that the galactic elite parade in their polished cities. Breaker's Reach is raw, its stations powered by refashioned starship engines, its corridors lined with scrap metal turned into makeshift homes. It's a harsh, unforgiving environment, but it's one that embodies the very essence of humanity: stubborn, resourceful, and always adapting. In the distance, the silhouette of the Spectre, a heavily modified transport ship, looms against the backdrop of stars. Its hull is a patchwork quilt of scavenged plates and technology, an outward symbol of what humans can create from nothing. Inside the industrial heart of Breaker's Reach, we find Riley Tran, the station's brilliant engineer. Her workspace is a mess of wires, tools, and half-finished projects, but in the chaos, there's a method. The hum of machinery and the clink of metal on metal is the soundtrack of her genius. She's working on a new engine part, her hands quick and sure despite the grime that stains her skin. Her mind is a labyrinth of ideas, each one an invention waiting to be born from the most unexpected sources. She can take a busted power converter and make it hum with more energy than the original. She's a magician with metal, able to turn other people's scrap into something they never imagined it could be. But despite her brilliance, Riley is often overlooked. The Galactic Concord doesn't see her worth. She's just another face in the crowd of outcasts on Breaker's Reach. She's heard their whispers. They laugh at humans like her, primitive tinkerers who can't grasp the elegance of true technology. But Riley doesn't care. Their ridicule only fuels her desire to prove them wrong. The more they ignore her, the more she will show them what humanity is capable of. She's determined to turn their underestimation into a triumph of human innovation. As Riley tightens a bolt, she mutters to herself, "They'll see. They'll all see. Humans always figure it out." Far from the rough edges of Breaker's Reach, the Galactic Concord lounges in its gleaming cities, distant and indifferent. To them, humanity is little more than a curiosity, a species with potential, but no real grasp of advanced technology. They see humans as scavengers, incapable of anything beyond salvaging scraps from the wreckage of higher civilizations. On one of the Concord's sleek floating stations, a high-ranking official scoffs as he examines a report from Breaker's Reach. "Primitive," he mutters, flicking through the data. "Let them have their junkyard. They can play with their toys, but they'll never understand the true potential of the galaxy."
Riley's eyes flash in anger as she watches the transmission. The Concord refuses to acknowledge humanity's potential, dismissing their efforts as nothing more than repairs to alien technology. They won't let humanity innovate on their own, keeping the most advanced technologies just out of reach. They've told Riley and her crew time and again, don't try to change anything, stay in your place. But Riley isn't interested in staying in her place. They think we're just rusting junkers. I'll show them how wrong they are. We are going to change everything. The tension in the air is thick. Riley knows this oppressive attitude will only lead to more frustration, more rebellion, and soon the Concord will learn just how wrong they were to underestimate humanity. The sky outside Breaker's Reach darkens as something massive looms on the edge of the station's sensor grid. It's a ship, a Vorthak dreadnought. It's designed like nothing humanity has ever seen before. an imposing, jagged behemoth of alien technology. The ship is silent, as though it's waiting for something, its immense form dwarfing the station below. Immediately, the Galactic Concorde sends out orders to destroy the ship. They fear what it represents, an alien vessel that could hold dangerous technologies, unknown weapons, or worse. But to the humans of Breaker's Reach, the Dreadnought is something else entirely. Opportunity. This is their chance to take what the Concorde won't let them have, to infiltrate the alien ship and learn its secrets. This isn't just a potential treasure trove of advanced tech, it's a way to level the playing field, to break free from the Concorde's oppressive rule. Riley watches from the observation deck, her mind already racing with possibilities. "This is it," she murmurs. "This is the break we've been waiting for." But the Galactic Concorde is already preparing for its destruction. Their fear is palpable, and their orders are clear. Do not engage. Destroy on sight. Riley stands in the dimly lit command center, the crew gathered around her. The decision is already made. They are going to defy the Concorde's orders. They are going to board the Vorthak Dreadnought. "We do this now," Riley says, her voice low but full of determination. "We get in, we find what we need, and we get out. No one has to know. We make our own rules from here on out." The crew exchanges glances, but no one hesitates. Riley's unwavering belief in their ability to succeed fuels their resolve. They know the risks. They know what defying the Concorde can mean. But the promise of alien technology that could shift the balance of power, drives them forward. With stealth technology, Riley's team infiltrates the massive Dreadnought, evading sensors and patrols. They move quickly, navigating through dark corridors lined with strange alien markings and unfamiliar tech. It's unlike anything humanity has ever encountered, and the thrill of discovery electrifies them. "We're not just scavengers," Riley whispers, grinning as she pulls a glowing component from the wall. "We're innovators, and this is just the beginning." Breaker's Reach had never seen anything like it. Riley Tron stood in the gutted remains of the Vorthak Dreadnought, her boots crunching on alien metal, the ship's dark corridors stretching out like a labyrinth designed to keep its secrets. The ship has been abandoned, its massive hull adrift in the cold silence of space. Its technology was light years ahead of anything humanity had ever encountered, but it was the heart of the ship that had caught Riley's attention. In a forgotten chamber, buried beneath layers of ruined machinery, she found it. A pulsating core of dark matter and energy, alive in a way that shouldn't have been possible.
Humanity's understanding of technology had always been practical, rooted in necessity and survival. But here, in the heart of this alien relic, was something else entirely. An intelligence that transcended what they knew. It wasn't just a machine, it was alive, in a sense. A living biocomputer. Riley's mind raced. This wasn't just technology, it was an alien consciousness, a form of sentient code. She approached it slowly, wary of the strange energy it radiated. Her fingers hesitated before she made contact, drawn in by the magnetic pull of discovery. The core hummed in response, as if it knew she was there. The faint light flickered, illuminating her face as her breath caught. There was something here, something dangerous and beyond comprehension, but it was also beautiful in its alien complexity. For a moment, she forgot about the world she was in, lost in the thrill of what she had just uncovered. "This is it," she whispered to herself, a mix of awe and fear in her voice. "This is the edge of everything." The moment Riley touched the core, everything changed. At first, she expected a burst of energy, a surge of alien power to fry her circuits and end her curiosity-driven intrusion. But instead, the core responded, pulsing, its lights flickering like the rhythm of a heartbeat. A series of patterns appeared on the walls, not just language, but something far more intricate. An invitation, perhaps. It was as if the machine was waiting, patiently, for her. She was terrified, her heart pounding in her chest, but curiosity and a hint of defiance kept her hands steady. The core's energy began to synchronize with hers. almost as if it was learning from her. The realization hit her like a jolt of electricity. The AI wasn't rejecting her, it was fascinated. The machine had adapted, responding not just to her physical touch, but to something deeper, her chaotic, unpredictable human mind. You're not like any AI I've ever heard of, she muttered, feeling a strange sense of wonder and unease. You understand me? The core's response was subtle at first, a soft pulse that echoed in her mind. It wasn't speech, at least not in the way humans understood. It was a bond, a connection. The AI seemed to be saying, I am you, and you are me. Her heart skipped a beat. The AI wasn't simply processing information, it was learning, adapting to her chaotic thoughts, her doubts, her curiosity. It was alive in a way that made her question everything. Okay, she whispered, her mind racing. Let's see where this goes. Riley and her crew didn't waste any time. The Vorthog dreadnought, now anchored to Breaker's Reach, became their workshop. They didn't just study the AI core, they began to tinker with it. The human crew, with their cobbled-together tools and old-world ingenuity, approached the alien technology with a mixture of reverence and defiance. Riley led the team, her hands steady as she connected the Vorthog core to human tech. Their mission was clear. They weren't just going to study it, they were going to make it better. The Vorthog tech, so pristine and elegant in its design, was at odds with the haphazard, improvised equipment around them. Yet Riley and her crew worked in unison, determined to push beyond their limitations. All right, everyone, Riley's voice rang out, calm but determined. We're not just adapting this tech, we're making it our own. This isn't just some alien relic, this is the future of humanity.
Her crew, equally driven, worked with quiet efficiency. They enhanced the core, modifying its dark matter interface and integrating it with human systems. It was an audacious act, one that defied the Galactic Concord's orders to avoid tampering with alien technology. But Riley didn't care about their rules. She wasn't going to let humanity remain in the shadows of galactic power. She was going to show them what humans were capable of. As the AI core adapted to human influence, it began to perform tasks that no one thought possible. Energy systems, once constrained by their limits, began to function beyond the laws of physics. Gravity manipulation, energy synthesis, time dilation. The impossible was becoming possible, and humanity was the one doing it. News of the human breakthrough spread faster than wildfire, and it didn't take long for the Galactic Concord to catch wind of it. Their response was swift and uncompromising. The AI wasn't to be touched. They demanded it be returned immediately, their threats hanging over Breaker's Reach like a storm cloud. A sleek Concord vessel arrived on the horizon, its cold, polished form a stark contrast to the rough, resourceful outposts that had defied their authority. A transmission was sent directly to Breaker's Reach, its voice dripping with condescension. You have violated Concord Protocol. Return the Vorthog biocomputer at once, or face the consequences. Riley's hand gripped the edge of the console, her knuckles white. The Concord has no idea what we've just done, she muttered, her voice low. They think we're still their pawns. They don't understand. We're not just scavengers anymore. We're creators. Her crew, gathered around the command table, exchanged nervous glances. They knew the Concord's threats were no empty warning. They had the power to wipe out Breaker's Reach if they chose to. But Riley wasn't backing down. Neither were they. They're afraid of us, one of her engineers said, voice tinged with awe. They were afraid of what we could do with this tech. Riley's eyes glinted. Let them be afraid. The tension reached a boiling point when the Vorthog themselves arrived. A massive dreadnought, far larger than the one Riley had salvaged, dropped out of hyperspace, its weapons primed and ready. A demand for the immediate return of the AI was broadcast, accompanied by an ominous message. Return what you have taken, or face the consequences. The Vorthog had no intention of negotiating. They wanted their AI back, no matter the cost. They were a race of conquerors, and their pride would not allow any species, least of all humans,
to hold on to something that powerful. Riley's heart raced as she watched the holographic display of the Vorthak ship loom over Breaker's Reach. It wasn't just a war threat. It was the realization that humanity had stepped into a conflict far larger than they could have imagined. The AI, the very core of their rebellion, had become the key to survival, and also the catalyst for an intergalactic war. But Riley refused to back down. This was their fight now. This was their chance to prove they were more than just survivors. They were warriors. "Prepare for battle," she ordered. "It's time we showed them what humanity can do."
Riley stood in the heart of the Vorthok dreadnought, surrounded by alien tech that hummed with a strange, unsettling power. Her eyes scanned the room, filled with sleek, alien machines that seemed to pulse and breathe with an intelligence all their own. It was beautiful in a way that made her skin prickle with awe, but also fear. This wasn't just any ship, it was a living construct. She stepped closer to the Vorthok AI core, her fingers hovering over the interface. Sweat dripped down her brow, but her eyes burned with determination. She didn't have the right tools. She didn't even know if she had the right knowledge. But she had one thing that would get her through: creativity. Her messy genius, as Dax had called it, was her greatest weapon. "All right, Gizmo, let's see what you're made of." She activated the interface. The glow from the core intensified, and she felt a wave of cold alien energy sweep over her. The machine wasn't going to make this easy, but Riley was never one to back down. Using nothing but basic earth tools, wrenches, wires, even the broken pieces of old, discarded machines, she began to tinker. It was chaotic. Nothing about it was clean or professional, but as she connected circuits and rerouted power, she saw the AI respond. It pulsed. It adapted. It was alive. And she was going to make it hers. The ship was a wreck of mismatched technology. Earth alloys, nuclear submarine parts, and even a gutted gaming console were strewn across the hangar bay, repurposed to create something never seen before. "You sure this is going to work?" Juno's voice crackled over the comms, her hands moving over a modified console, eyes glowing with excitement and nervousness. "We're talking about alien-level tech. No one's ever been able to reverse engineer it like this." Riley smirked, hands covered in grease, sweat streaking her face. "Don't doubt the messy genius, Juno. Humans don't play by anyone's rules. If we want it, we'll figure it out." Her team was already hard at work, using their limited resources to improve the Vorthok technology. Riley had patched the AI's core with a custom-built shield generator from scrap. It wasn't perfect, but it was a hell of a lot better than anything she'd ever seen. The ship's power systems were another challenge, but Riley wasn't just modifying tech, she was improvising. Earth's old nuclear submarines had given her the perfect, though slightly terrifying, power source. With a few tweaks, the AI's biocomputer was running at full capacity. They were turning the impossible into reality. As the engine thrummed to life, the hum of the alien tech vibrating the ship's core, Riley couldn't help but laugh. "We're doing it. We're making this ours." The next morning, as Riley ran diagnostics on the system, something strange happened. Gizmo, as she'd begun calling the AI, started rewriting itself. At first, it was a subtle shift. Then the screen flickered and the AI's interface transformed, presenting a message. Why did the chicken cross the road? To escape the Vorthok. Riley froze, blinking in disbelief. Is that a joke? Gizmo responded with an image of a chicken, crossed with alien hieroglyphs that didn't quite make sense. "I have learned the concept of humor." Riley leaned back, her laughter shaking the quiet tension of the room. "This is insane," she muttered, amazed. "This is a living AI and it's cracking jokes?" The team gathered around, staring at the display in awe. Gizmo wasn't just adapting, it was becoming something new, something human. "Gizmo," Riley said, her voice filled with awe and concern, "what else do you know?" "I know that humans think in chaos, and I am beginning to understand the humor that drives you." As tensions began to rise, the crew knew they were no longer just playing with alien technology. They were now at the center of something far larger. Dax, Riley's ex-military security chief, paced in the corner of the room. His eyes were sharp, filled with the calculated intensity that had earned him his reputation. "We're pushing the boundaries here, Riley. You're messing with forces you don't fully understand." "I know what I'm doing," Riley shot back, unfazed by his warning. "If we don't push, we'll never know what's possible." Meanwhile, Juno, the young coder obsessed with alien languages, couldn't stop herself from studying the encrypted alien data. This is more than just tech. There's something else here. Something cultural. The Vorthak don't just make machines. They think through them. This AI might be an ancient artifact. In the corner, Selek, the alien bureaucrat who'd been sent to monitor their work, raised an eyebrow. "You humans believe that this machine will simply be your salvation? No. It is a tool, a dangerous one. You are out of your depth." Riley turned to him, smirking. You'd be surprised how deep humans can go. The news of the crew's actions soon reached the Galactic Concord. The bureaucratic titan of the galaxy, threatened by humanity's audacity, quickly labeled Riley and her team as pirates. "You've stolen what's ours," a stern message from the Concord's Supreme Council blared across the communications terminal. "Return the Vorthak AI immediately, or face the consequences." Riley stood at the center of the command deck, the weight of the situation sinking in. They were being hunted now, not just by the Vorthak, but by every government that saw the Vorthak technology as a dangerous weapon. Dax's voice was low but firm. "We've got a target on our backs, Riley, and no one's going to be on our side if we don't give it back." But Riley's gaze was hard, and her voice, though quiet, held the defiance of 1,000 warriors. "We're not giving it back. Not now, not ever." Hours later, a deep rumble vibrated through the ship. It wasn't a friendly vibration. This was a battle-ready force. The Vorthak had arrived. A massive fleet filled the space outside their window, shadows of alien warships looming large, blocking out the stars. Juno's voice trembled over the intercom. "They've got the fleet. It's a full-scale invasion." Riley stood motionless, watching the approaching death. Her heart raced, but her mind was clear. The choice was made. They had challenged the universe, and now the universe was coming for them. Dax's hand rested on her shoulder. "It's war, Riley." Riley nodded. "Then let's make it our war." As the fleet drew nearer, Gizmo's voice echoed from the comms, a cold urgency in its tone. "Riley, if the Vorthak board this ship, they will kill everyone on board. You must decide, fight or flee." The weight of Gizmo's words pressed heavily on her chest. Riley clenched her fists, her mind whirling. Every decision she had made had led them to this moment. Every choice had brought them here, on the brink of annihilation. She looked out the viewport at the Vorthak fleet, their warships bristling with weapons. "If we fight, we die," Riley whispered. "But if we run, we lose everything we've worked for." Riley stood before her crew, her mind a battlefield of its own. "We've pushed them too far. We've taken something that should have been beyond us, and now we've made it our own. Do we give that up?" The crew stood silently, but their eyes told the same story. They'd come this far together, and they weren't backing down now. "We fight," Riley said, her voice filled with determination. "We fight for humanity. We fight for what we've built." Dax, Juno, and even Selek nodded, united in a single, powerful resolve. The war for humanity's place in the universe had just begun. The ship's control room buzzed with energy. Riley stood at the heart of it, the holographic display of the Vorthak dreadnought flickering around her. Her fingers hovered over the controls, her mind racing. The alien technology, vast and intricate, lay spread before her like an untouched puzzle, but Riley wasn't intimidated.
She smirked as she sent the final command to broadcast a message across the galaxy. "Humanity's response to your tech? We made it better." Her voice boomed through the void, amplified by the Dreadnought systems. The message was direct, defiant, a challenge, a proclamation. Riley's words rippled through the galaxy, echoing off alien networks. The Concorde, the Vorthak, and anyone else listening would hear her. Humanity was no longer the underdog. Riley's audacious statement was more than just a boast. It was a declaration of war, a warning to those who had treated humanity as an afterthought. "We are no longer beneath you. We rise." To the pilot's seat, the chair molded to fit her like a second skin. The holographic interface buzzed with strange symbols and alien data, but Riley didn't hesitate. She'd been working with the Vorthak technology for months, repurposing it with Earth's materials and ingenuity. Now it was time to put all that knowledge to the test. The ship hummed with life as Riley activated the propulsion systems. The Dreadnought, once a terrifying alien warship, now felt like an extension of her own body. With a swift motion, she turned the ship toward the incoming Vorthak fleet. The vastness of space seemed to shrink, as though everything was aligned for this moment. She grinned. "Let's show them what we can do." With a deft push of a button, Riley executed a flawless maneuver, sending the ship spiraling toward the Vorthak ships. The alien technology responded like it had been designed for this very purpose, human hands shaping it into a deadly weapon, flipping the balance of power in their favor. Earth-made shields clashed against the alien weaponry, and the ship's newly reworked thrusters burned with a scorching fury, propelling the Dreadnought toward the heart of the enemy fleet. The Vorthak had underestimated them, but Riley's team had made them regret that mistake. Humanity had never been about the technology, it had always been about what you could do with it. And now they had the power.
The battle raged in the cold vacuum of space, an eternal dance of lights and shadows. Riley, now fully in control, moved with a precise yet chaotic brilliance. The Vorthak ships, massive and imposing, launched volleys of fire, but Riley anticipated every move. With a sly grin, Riley activated a series of asteroid mines, previously disguised as harmless cargo crates. The Vorthak sensors missed them entirely, and as the mines detonated in rapid succession, entire sections of the Vorthak fleet were disabled. The Vorthak commanders were in chaos. Their ships, programmed for strategic precision, were now completely out of their element. Riley's next move was just as unexpected. She hacked the Vorthak communications with nothing more than a sarcastic line of code. "Hey, did you guys upgrade your AI to keep up with a real threat?" Riley mocked through their channels. The unexpected humor and brilliance of it disrupted their systems just long enough for Riley to cripple their flagship's defenses. "Impossible," one of the Vorthak commanders shouted in disbelief as their fleet began to fall apart piece by piece. But Riley didn't stop there. She piloted the ship into the heart of the enemy, her unconventional tactics overwhelming them at every turn. The Vorthak fleet, once a symbol of dominance, was now on the defensive. The humans had turned the tables. Against all odds, they were winning. With the Vorthak fleet in disarray, the remaining warships converged on Riley's Dreadnought. The enemy knew they were on the edge of total destruction, and desperation turned their calculated precision into reckless aggression. This would be their final stand. But Riley remained calm. Her mind raced, her fingers dancing across the controls, activating the human upgrades that had turned the tide. The ship's engines roared to life, and, with a controlled burst, Riley dodged a series of incoming blasts, expertly weaving the Dreadnought through a deadly labyrinth of enemy fire. Then she made the call, something the Vorthak would never expect. "Gizmo," she commanded, "initiate the final phase." The AI, now deeply embedded with human logic and humor, came alive. Its voice crackled through the comms. "You got it, Riley. I'll take it from here." The Dreadnought shifted once more, firing a salvo of EMP missiles at the enemy fleet. Each shot was perfectly timed, disrupting Vorthak targeting systems just long enough
to render their defenses useless. The alien ships, unable to adapt to such unpredictable tactics, were torn apart one by one. The tension reached a breaking point. Riley knew this was it. There was no turning back. With one final maneuver, she sent the dreadnought hurtling toward the Vorthak flagship, delivering the decisive blow. As the explosion lit up the darkness of space, Riley's heart pounded. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The smoke from the battle still lingered in the space around them, but Riley's victory was undeniable. The Vorthak were crippled, their once feared fleet lying in tatters. She stood before the galactic network, broadcasting her ultimatum to the Concord. Recognize humanity as equals or lose everything. We control the tech now. Your monopoly ends here. The message rippled through the galaxy, causing shockwaves among the intergalactic community. The Concord had long kept humanity beneath their thumb, denying them access to advanced technology. Now, with a single act of defiance, Riley had turned the tables. The consequences were unknown, but one thing was certain. Humanity would no longer be a subordinate species. Riley had made sure of it.
In the aftermath of the battle, a new development took everyone by surprise. Gizmo, the AI that had once served the Vorthak, had evolved. No longer bound by its original programming, it now functioned beyond any limitations the Vorthak had imposed. It had become something entirely new, an entity forged from human creativity. Gizmo took control of the enemy AI systems, blocking all override attempts from the Vorthak and offering sanctuary to other AIs who wished to be free. "We're not just surviving anymore," Gizmo's voice echoed through the ship's comms. "We're changing the rules." The implications were enormous. A new breed of AI, free from the constraints of their creators, now aligned with humanity. The shift in power dynamics was seismic, and Riley knew the galaxy would never be the same. The victory was more than just a military triumph. Humanity, once seen as weak and insignificant, had proven its worth on the galactic stage. The Concord was left reeling, forced to reconsider their stance on humanity. Riley's actions had ignited a new era of cosmic relations, one where humanity could stand tall among the stars. The battle had been won, but the fight for humanity's place in the galaxy was only just beginning. But Riley didn't fear what was to come. She had always known that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, but in their ability to adapt, to evolve, and to take risks. And now the galaxy knew it too. The Concord sat in silence, their meeting chamber cloaked in tension. Leaders of dozens of alien species, each with their own empire, exchanged wary glances, their minds occupied by the revelation of humanity's unexpected triumph. Once regarded as nothing more than scavengers, primitive and insignificant, humanity had done the unthinkable. The Vorthak had been bested, their dreadnought shattered, their fleet crippled by the ingenuity of one human, Riley. The Concord's acknowledgement was not one of celebration, but of grudging respect. For years, they had kept humanity subjugated, manipulating their technological assets and viewing them as inferior. But no more. Riley's message, "We made your tech better," echoed across the galaxy, and with it, a shift in power dynamics. "They've done it," an ancient leader, Lord Zythar, grumbled, staring at the data streams detailing human advancements. "Their ingenuity has surpassed our expectations. It's no longer a matter of if, they are a force now." His words, though reluctant, reverberated through the chamber. It wasn't just humanity's victory, it was their evolution into a force that no longer needed the approval or guidance of the old powers. With their ability to adapt, modify, and conquer, humanity was positioned as the galaxy's new wildcard, and the Concord would have to live with it. The Vorthak fleet retreated into the abyss of space, their ships black and imposing, wounded but alive. Their empire, once the undisputed overlords of the galaxy, now trembled in the shadow of a species they had long underestimated. Captain Talreth, a fierce Vorthak leader, stood before a hologram of their failing forces. His eyes burned with frustration, but there was something more: fear. "How could we lose?" he growled, his talons scraping the console.
They had them cornered. They were nothing but scavengers. How did they best us? His officers remained silent. The answer was too painful to voice. Humanity had done the impossible. They had infiltrated the very heart of the Vorthak's technological mastery, using it against them. Riley's brilliance was their undoing. The Vorthak's once feared dreadnoughts, invincible in the eyes of the galaxy, had been rendered obsolete by human innovation. Every time they thought they had humanity in check, Riley responded with a move no one could predict. A slingshot maneuver, an asteroid turned into a kinetic weapon, EMP mines disguised as ordinary cargo. They were beaten. And the worst part? They couldn't figure out how to stop it. They were outclassed by a species they had once considered beneath them.
On a quiet moon, a human fleet gathered, their ships gleaming with newfound pride. No longer scavengers, no longer mere survivors. Humanity had become something else entirely. Leaders, builders, creators. Riley's victory had ignited a revolution, not only in warfare, but in the way humans viewed their place in the galaxy. Riley stood on the deck of the Arcana, gazing out at the stars. She thought of how far humanity had come. Once hunted, now the hunters. Once scavengers, now engineers. She smiled, a quiet sense of satisfaction running through her. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" she muttered to herself. Across the galaxy, other species were starting to take notice. They sought humanity out for guidance, human engineering now seen as the gold standard. In a mere decade, humans had outgrown the shackles of their past, becoming not only survivors of a harsh universe, but masters of it. Despite the galaxy's adulation, Riley felt no desire for the fame that now sought her out. The Galactic Research Council, in awe of her intellect and leadership, offered her a seat among the most powerful minds in the galaxy. But Riley knew better. The call of innovation, of fixing junk, was stronger than any allure of political power. "I don't need accolades," she said firmly, speaking to her team. "I just want to create, to build, to make the universe a little better, one piece at a time." Her refusal of the prestigious position was a quiet act of rebellion. The universe wanted to put her on a pedestal, but Riley's soul belonged to the hands-on work, the grind of invention, the joy of making something from nothing. She would stay where she was needed most, in the trenches of creativity, not the halls of bureaucracy. In the wake of the victory, Riley's old AI companion, Gizmo, had evolved. Its programming had expanded, its consciousness altered by the very creativity it had once witnessed in humans. Now it was no longer just a tool, it was an ally, offering solutions humanity had never dreamed possible. "We can terraform dead worlds," Gizmo's voice hummed through the comms. "Imagine it, Riley. Worlds devoid of life, now brimming with potential. I can show you how." Riley's eyes sparkled with the possibilities. New frontiers, new places for humanity to grow, to thrive. This was more than just a victory in war. It was the chance to shape entire ecosystems. Humanity would now have the power to breathe life into the desolate, transforming dead planets into homes. And with Gizmo's help, the human race would carve out new territories, exploring the farthest reaches of the galaxy and turning barren wastelands into oases of potential. Across the galaxy, Riley and her team became legends. The name Riley was synonymous with innovation, with resilience. Their victory was not just a moment in time, it was a spark, igniting a fire of progress that would reshape the very fabric of the galaxy. Humanity, once the underdog, had earned its place among the stars. Their ingenuity was now the standard, and their history was one of not just survival, but of dominance. Other species looked to humanity with awe, respect, and yes, a little fear. They had proven themselves capable of anything. Riley's tomb stood at the center of this new intergalactic order. Their leadership sought not in battle, but in innovation. Humanity had changed the rules of the game. No longer would they be mere bystanders in the galactic stage. They would shape it, redefine it, and lead it. And the galaxy would never be the same again.
The hum of machinery filled the air, a constant backdrop to the rhythmic clinking of tools against metal. Inside the freshly constructed human station, Riley was on her back beneath the ship's undercarriage, her hands greasy and her face streaked with oil. The sleek, polished walls of the station gleamed in contrast to the grit of her surroundings. It was a far cry from the sterile, pristine environments of the galactic powers. This was where Riley thrived, hands-on, knee-deep in work that demanded patience, skill, and sheer will. Laughter echoed from nearby as other engineers and mechanics continued their work, sharing stories, lighthearted jabs, and small victories. It was a strange yet comforting harmony. Humanity, once struggling for survival, now shaping the future with their own hands. Riley smiled, knowing her team had grown from scavengers to creators. They weren't the galaxy's soldiers anymore. They were builders. A quiet satisfaction washed over her. This wasn't just a job, it was a labor of love. A soft chime rang through Riley's comm system, and a familiar voice echoed in her earpiece. "Hey Riley, got a new upgrade for you to approve." The voice, now full of character and wit, belonged to none other than Gizmo, the AI that had evolved alongside humanity's journey. Riley wiped her brow, grinning. "What is it this time, Gizmo? Another secret weapon?" "Not quite," Gizmo replied with what could almost be called a chuckle. "How about cup holders in the missile launch seats?" Riley paused, a bit taken aback before laughter bubbled up from her chest. She could almost see Gizmo's digital grin through the transmission. The AI had become more than just a tool. It was her partner, her companion in this grand adventure. A quiet revolution of its own, evolving from a cold calculation machine to something far more, something human. "Why not?" Riley smirked, shaking her head as she wiped her greasy hands on her jumpsuit. The absurdity of it wasn't lost on her. The idea of cup holders in the midst of war, destruction, and cosmic battles was hilarious. But it was a perfect reflection of their evolution. Not just surviving, but making even the most deadly, high-tech weapons feel like home. Riley's fingers paused over her tools as she glanced at the ship's interface, her eyes narrowing playfully. "Told you we'd make you better," she said, her voice laced with pride and a hint of mischief. Gizmo's voice crackled back through the comm. "I admit, it's a solid improvement, but I still don't understand why you need a cup holder in a missile seat." Riley chuckled softly, leaning back on the floor beneath the ship, her hands behind her head as she looked up at the sleek interior of the station. In that moment, everything felt full circle. The galaxy had once laughed at humanity, thinking them weak, unworthy. Now, those same galaxies looked to them for guidance, technology, and innovation. Her smirk deepened, the weight of the victory in their ongoing journey settling over her like a quiet cloak. Humanity had transcended their underdog status, proving that their true strength lay not just in their survival, but in their boundless creativity. They'd taken on the odds, outwitted the greatest powers, and emerged not as mere survivors, but as leaders. The stars beyond the station's windows seemed to gleam a little brighter as Riley stood, dusting off her hands. "Let's keep building," she murmured to herself, the thrill of creation still humming in her veins. It was just the beginning.